I want every gun we have to fire on that man.
Alright, hey everyone, RogueGold here, welcome back to The Division 2, and today, we've got a lot to catch up on. So, in case you didn't see one of my previous videos, I stated that I was going to be out of town for a few days for Thanksgiving here in the US, and apparently, Massive saw that video and decided we're going to drop and release absolutely everything that we have in the rafters just while he's gone. So, to start off in this video, we're going to recap the developer stream that went down yesterday on November the 28th. They went over a lot of topics in this stream, honestly talked about a lot more than I was expecting, specifically pertaining to Seasons 2.0 and their plans there. But there was even more stuff, including the unveiling of the Winter Holiday event for 2024, the new Veteran Rewards program giving us the Lexington gun, and many, many more details. So, we're going to get into all of it right now. Just wanted to say, if you happen to be tuning into this, even though you might have already seen the news yesterday, I sincerely appreciate you being here. We're going to get back on track with everything moving forward. But, without further ado, let's go. Alright, so in the stream we were joined by Yannick, the game's creative director, as well as Daria, who used to be the community developer but is now the newly promoted product manager on The Division 2, and they sat down to talk about all of the aforementioned topics as well as live playthrough Year 6 Season 2. Alright, so they began with Seasons 2.0, and off the bat, Yannick said that they are glad that this system is now out there so they can analyze some real data, right, take in this mass amount of feedback that everybody is giving them, and from there, he then outlined all of the various changes that the team has been talking about and is planning on making, and like I said in the intro, this is a lot more than I was expecting. So he broke this down into two categories. The first is changes that they plan to introduce to the game this season, and the other is then changes that are primarily going to be coming next season in Year 6 Season 3, but potentially even beyond that, depending on how the implementation goes. So we'll start off with that first category, which again is the changes that they are going to be bringing to Seasons 2.0 this season that is currently live. Firstly, as was already announced, they're going to make it so that the group leader has full control over whether the overall modifier system is active or not when you're playing in group content, because as of right now, even if one person hasn't turned on in the group, that will activate it for everybody else. They then mentioned two quick things that they have already done that includes removing modifiers from raids, as well as making it so that every priority objective that you complete will reward you with Season Pass XP instead of that being within the reward pool itself. But then they talked about one final change they're making, which I think a lot of people will be very happy about. They are both reducing the power of and changing both the Requital and Master of None hostile modifiers. These are the two that the most amount of players have had a lot of issues with, and so the devs are going to be making them less punishing. Yannick talked about how Requital is going to be getting better feedback in UI so that you can tell kind of what's happening with it, and it will also apparently be less powerful than it was before. And among other changes, he talked about how Master of None will no longer have the shock punishment at the long range. So whatever the full scope of the plans are, that should make those two a lot better to handle and play against in gameplay. And so he said that those changes are coming very soon. Then he moved on to talk about the changes that are coming again either next season or later than that. But again, a lot of this stuff I did not anticipate. There are a lot of very reactive changes here based on what the community has been saying. So hopefully people like the sound of this. We got a long list here, so let's just go through it. Firstly, he said that people's dislikings of this current set of modifiers that we have for Year 6 Season 2 has been taken into account for next season's set. Because again, every new season we are going to be getting a completely new batch of modifiers. It's not going to be the same ones that we have now. So they're taking this reaction into consideration when developing next seasons. He confirmed that hostile modifiers are being simplified for next season. Basically, they're going to make it so that those ones counter some of your bonuses and power, but it doesn't necessarily impact you or hurt you in gameplay like we're seeing them do now. They are investigating adding a bonus for using the modifiers. He said they don't want to go overboard and make it so that people feel forced to do it, but that there is likely some middle ground where they can find a good incentive so that people who want to use the system are rewarded for it. He said they want to make it so that in the overall season progression, you're unlocking modifiers faster. That counts for both active and passive ones. And as part of that, passive modifiers will no longer be awarded from priority objectives. They're now all going to be included within the seasonal journey alongside the active ones. So the journey will be even more integral in that overall progression and leveling. He said they're looking into improving some of the trigger conditions for active modifiers instead of you having to ADS and then press up on the D-pad, at least if you're on controller. He said they know that that feels a bit clunky, so they're looking to improve that. On top of that, they want there to be an overall better flow and appearance for active modifiers in terms of their timers and UI and all of that. Speaking to the seasonal journey, he said that the new player experience aspect of it is now going to be separated from the level 41, meaning how in this season we saw some of the objectives objectives being like buy an item from a vendor. That's pretty easy stuff, right? So specifically for the endgame, he said that the objectives will be more varied and more focused on gameplay. In addition, they are also going to be balancing the overall objectives of the seasonal journey. He admitted that a lot of the ones this season are just too grindy. It takes you too long to go through them, so they aim to reduce a lot of that. They're then going to be adding season pass progression to more sources, right? He said they want to make it a bit more like the old system where you can choose what you want to play and get XP out of it. He said that priority objective rewards are going to be increased, and that they're looking into removing some of those activities from the rotation of priority objectives that are simply too rare, stuff like doing the elite resource convoys and things like that. So that was the total list that they talked about for Seasons 2.0 changes, again coming both this season and in the future, and like I said, I'm very surprised. This is more than I saw them doing. I thought they were pretty set in stone on some of these things. So again, hopefully players like this, and I'll be curious to hear your guys' reactions to the plans. But moving on, they then shifted over to revealing and talking about the winter event for 2024. If you're at all new to the Division 2, every year we get a winter holiday event. It's not huge in scope. They usually don't have any like crazy activities or things like that, but it's a fun time in game to chase some new cosmetics. They'll usually add one new gameplay reward as well. So they showed both the trailer and gave us the overall calendar for what's going to be happening. The important part is the event begins on Tuesday, December 10th. That is not this coming Tuesday, but one after that. This year, there are going to be 6 days of objectives. Then after that, there will be an additional either 10 or 11, I can't remember, to go in and wrap up those objectives if you don't get to them right away. But they're doing things a little bit differently this time, and I have to say, I kind of like what they're proposing. There are going to be 2 tiers of rewards, both the easy track and the hard track. Completing each one of the easy track tiers will get you the new Rudy outfit, which has the overall green, red, and white color scheme. You got antlers on the head. It definitely looks pretty funny. And then completing the hard track will net you rewards like optimization caches, exotic components, and the new snow machine named knee pads. That is the new pinnacle reward for this year's holiday event. From what we saw, it doesn't look to be quite as special or impactful as some years past, unfortunately. It looks like it's just going to be a set of knee pads that adds a little snowflake effect when you inflict enemies with statuses. So I don't know how much people are really going to care about that, but that's in there. But here's the kicker. This event is basically seeing the return of leagues, right? Leagues were basically removed from the game with Seasons 2.0. They're no longer a part of the seasonal flow. But how the winter event is going to work is that in those 6 days of objectives, you'll get projects that unlock that tell you to complete different main missions at different time intervals. And doing those intervals is how you complete both the easy and hard tiers of rewards. So again, depending on how fast you complete those missions, you will either get 1 or 2 rewards from those 2 tracks. So that's pretty fun, and I think this will be a pretty interactive way for us to complete the winter event. I'm looking forward to it. They did confirm that once you unlock the new snow machines from the reward track, just like events past, it will then be available for you to farm additional copies of through the loot goblin. And just like always, for the duration of this event, he will have the other seasonal items in rotation. That includes items from past winter events, as well as the summer and mooncake ones from this year. So that's the overview on the winter event, and of course I will be doing further videos and guides to break all that down as it gets closer to releasing. They then moved on to the new veteran reward program, and as I said, they just had to wait until I was out of town to release the Lexington gun in the game. You have likely already logged in and claimed it by now, but this is the main reward for this new veteran reward program. They said their goal was to commemorate the years of service from players to the Division franchise overall, and so logging into the Division 2 will grant you the new Lexington fully automatic LVOAC assault rifle. I told y'all it wasn't going to be an M4, but nobody listened to me, and the gun comes with maxed out stats, including damage to targets out of cover. You can then put whatever talent you want on it. Its perfected thing is not only the fact that it's a fully auto Lavoa, but it also comes with 5% higher base damage compared to similar models. So it is a very good gun, and that is what people who have been using it in game are saying. So yeah, this is pretty sweet. The way it ties into the veteran reward program though is that there are 3 unique skins for it that you will be given depending on how long you've been playing the Division franchise. So I'll show the chart on screen, but basically if you logged into either the Division 1 or 2 or you played it before January 1st of this year, you will get all 3 of these skins, gold, silver, and bronze. If the first time you played or logged into the Division 1 or 2 was between January 2nd and November 27th of this year, you will then get silver and bronze. And then if your very first time playing or logging in is the 28th or here on out, you will then only get bronze. So it would have been kind of cool if they extended those times to like years past so that he really showed how long you've been playing the Division. But either way, I think this is a very cool program. Obviously a very good weapon and reward. I can't wait to dive in and use it. Alright, they then moved on and quickly talked about the S.T.A.L.K.E.R collaboration that is currently going on in the game. There were some additional giveaways going on in the Twitch chat, so that's what they were highlighting. But they said they're going to be offering a few more chances to win the bundle in-game, as well as they're offering a few codes for the overall S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 game itself. So there are 2 new raffles that are beginning and ongoing as I'm making this video. They have one going on within the Division's official Discord server, so if you go over to the game's official website, they have a link where you can join there and see the details for that. But also over on their Twitter page right now, there is a photo mode contest going on where you can take images within the Division 2 that kind of give the Stalker vibe and aesthetic. And by using a certain hashtag, they will look at the entries and pick different winners to win codes for that. So you can either go and check the Division's page on Twitter. I also reposted this on my own page. You can see the link for my Twitter down in the description. So in case you're interested in any of that, feel free to check it out. Alright, and then they ended off with a very lengthy Q&A session. I want to say this went on for over 30 or 40 minutes. A lot of the questions I got are some of the usual repeats that we hear almost every single stream, so I didn't include every single question here. But there were a good amount of very revelatory and revealing answers they were given, so let's go through all of those. To begin, they know that the rifle audio issue is happening in the game right now. Apparently it is a bit trickier to fix than last time, but they're looking into it. They're also looking into the issue of modifiers unequipping every time that you log out or go into a new instance. Yannick said he is unsure if it is a technical issue or just an improvement they need to make about modifiers saving 2 different loadouts, so they're looking into that. They are looking into seeing if they can make the on-kill seasonal journey objectives apply to your whole group when you're playing in-group content, so we'll see if we get that in the future. They confirmed that work continues on restoring the Division 1's global events, but no real updates here. Unfortunately, they said that the issue with the 5 times XP event, which is happening in the game right now if you're listening to this when I post this video, there is no player side fix to the issue where if it already says your XP is maxed out and you cannot take advantage of it, but he said they are going to try their best to fix this up for the next time around. They got a question about snow in the Division 2, and their quote was, "It is not the plan." So we'll see what that means for the upcoming Brooklyn DLC. Of course, I had my theory that maybe we would see some snow there, but I'll take their word for it. I'm going to guess that's not something they have planned. This was a pretty big drop. They did say that apparel events are being discussed for kind of a revamped return. They said, don't expect to see apparel events in the way that we knew them in the past. However, they are looking into making ways so that when they introduce some of these new apparel items, you have the option to buy it like we currently do in the store, but that there is also a gameplay component that if you want to play that way and grind it, you can unlock the outfits. So we'll see what more we hear about this, I would assume in upcoming seasons. They confirmed that they have no plans to reintroduce classified gear to the game, which I'm very happy about. They said that they are aware of the distribution issues with the new Lexington gun. They're looking into that and will update the community soon. Someone asked about the feasibility of doing kind of a White House horde mode where you have different factions coming at it in ongoing waves. They said it is tricky to use the White House for any kind of an open world mode or, instance or anything like that due to how many NPCs are within it. There's a big issue there with crashing older consoles. They briefly touched on the Chinese version of the game and talked about how sharing between the 2 different teams is technically possible, and they did it for a few outfits with the Mooncake event. But as I've explained before, that version is made for high-end PCs specifically, so a lot of the stuff they do cannot physically run on consoles like the Xbox One and the PS4. So there's a lot of technical stuff there, but they said it is not impossible for the 2 versions to share different things. They confirmed that specifically after seeing the reaction and data to the balancing changes made with Year 6 Season 2, there are further balancing changes that they are planning. They said mostly buffs to underperforming items. But Yannick confirmed that that includes the true Patriot gear set, which a lot of people were wondering when they're going to touch that, when they're going to make it better. Apparently it is top of the list for the next pass. Yannick agreed with the commenter that the specialization damage nodes are unideal, where you have to choose between 3 and you can't just get all of them. And he said that is something that they could potentially revisit despite the overall specialization revamp being canceled. He also confirmed that skill skins is something that they are actively looking into and basically working on. If you'll recall, these are the ones that they included in the base pre-order version of the Division 2, where you get like the sparkles effect on your Seeker Mine or some skins on the shield. So they are looking into bringing more of these in the future. They confirmed that there are no secrets within the game right now, to their knowledge, that players have not discovered. There were some hunter puzzles that the devs talked about in the past that were brute forced their way through, but the actual finality and conclusion of each puzzle has been solved. And they finally demystified everything around the hunter hook in the Haven settlement. Yannick said it is there because they did have plans for a new hunter, and then plans changed. So might that hunter release in the future, and then maybe the hook will become relevant? I don't know. But yeah, there you go. That is why there is a hook there. They confirmed that there are no plans to shut the Division 1 servers down. I had to include this just because I personally think it's funny. Somebody brought up the Codename Nightmare event that they were going to do years ago for the Resident Evil crossover. And Yannick said, it's funny people remember this stuff, but he said basically it just didn't work out. And then finally, somebody asked if there was going to be any Brooklyn DLC information or details given in this stream, and their answer was Brooklyn deserves its own dedicated stream. So hopefully that is something that we have to look forward to in the coming weeks and months. But there you have it, my friends. That is the entirety of the developer stream that was hosted again yesterday on November 28th. Like I said, they just decided we're going to drop all the info we have on the day that RogueGold is out of town. So if you're here listening to this, if you watched through the whole thing, I greatly appreciate you. And I would love to get any and all of your thoughts on everything that we went over in this video. What's your reaction to some of the plans that they have for Seasons 2.0 coming up? What do you think about their proposed take on the winter event this year? What are your thoughts on the veteran reward program, the Lexington, if you've already jumped in game and used it? Like I said, any thoughts you might have, I want to hear it. Let me know down below. That is going to do it for me today though, folks. I'm going to jump in game and start messing around with the Lexington, so look forward to a video coming out on that soon. But that's all I've got. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Out.